Hello and welcome. Thank you for listening. I can't tell you how happy I am to kick off Season 3 of the Hangry Mexican Podcast. A year ago, I ended the season prematurely due to a pandemic that gripped not just this nation, but the entire world. A lot changed. Businesses had to shut down. Entertainment events like concerts and sports games were canceled. People were told to stay in their homes for weeks on end on an economy in shambles. And there's just been a lot of people hurting. The COVID-19 pandemic forced many to pivot their lives in ways that they had never done before, myself included. This podcast, which, with some exceptions, is recorded face-to-face, could not be done that way anymore. At the same time, circumstances beyond my control that resulted when a national team at the Fox News station I was working for in Los Angeles, with the help of a newly installed news director and a supervisor that had no idea how to be a leader, threw facts out the window and reworked the news story I had written to fit their own personal bias narrative. And that led to a brief period of unemployment for me. I was depressed. Fortunately, I was able to rebound with the help from some amazing friends, family, colleagues, and newly found coworkers. And it was during this time of limbo when my friend and guest today reached out, offering to talk about her journey, without knowing what was happening in my own personal life at the time. Listening to her journey in the news industry and in life not only lifted my spirits and renewed my faith in factual information, but it offered a story that I think many can benefit from and be motivated by. Meredith Garofalo is currently a national meteorologist with WeatherNation. Despite all of her struggles, she was able to overcome adversity and does it all with a smile as bright as the sun nonetheless. Before WeatherNation, some of her previous stops included Sarasota, Florida at WWSB-TV and KEYT-TV in Santa Barbara, where I actually had the privilege of working with her, got to know her well, and was always a breath of fresh air. Heck, and she's really a good singer too. She's even sung the National Anthem at major events like at a Denver Broncos football game. Anyway, I can go on and on about her accomplishments, but I'd rather you listen. So, ladies and gentlemen, here's Meredith Garofalo. DJ, roll that music. All right, Meredith, hi, how are you? Thank you.
I'm doing good. Hello from Denver, Colorado, Oscar.
Hello, I know you're 1 hour ahead of me, so I had to make sure I had to wake up 1 hour before.
And it's funny, when I was talking to you last night, you were going to bed and I was just waking up.
Exactly. So I'm glad we could meet in the middle, and Colorado is one of those places where I really want to visit soon. So I was actually planning on visiting it this year, and then the pandemic hit. In fact, I was planning to do a lot of things this year. So we're going to try and make the best of it. But how have you been, and what have you been up to? I feel like I haven't talked to you in like a year or so, maybe more.
I know, it's crazy. Well, I know we've connected on social media, especially with just a lot of the stuff that's news for you weather-wise, and then it's news for me at my job. But, you know, things are going good, and, you know, this is such a tough time, but I'm really learning that when you surround yourself with positivity, with positive people, and sometimes maybe people you haven't heard from in a while, just to check in, it goes a long way. And that's why I was super excited when you started to talk with me about doing this and getting to have this casual conversation. Hopefully a lot of people are going to join us. Maybe they're having lunch, maybe a late coffee, maybe they're getting ready for the weekend, but I'm really, really happy to be here.
Well, that's good. And part of that positivity just comes with your great attitude and your singing, of course. A lot of people may probably have seen you singing the National Anthem at many sporting events or many events. I remember it from Santa Barbara. And then I think, wasn't there like a national competition or something like that you were part of?
There was. Well, it was a competition for the National Western Stock Show, which is based in Denver. And they were taking applicants from all over the city, all over the state. And it was one of those things where I was a little bit nervous because, you know, it's a competition and I'm very competitive as well. And what they were doing was they had you do a rendition of the national anthem. And if you made the finals, they had anybody and everybody vote from the entire country. And so I made the finals. I was really excited, and it was really stiff competition because there were some really cool girls from Denver, and I believe they were sisters, and they were really good as well. So it kind of went back and forth between us. But then I reached out to all my family and friends from across the country, and I'm like, you know what? I just moved to Denver. I want this opportunity. I've never sang at an event this big because it's one of the biggest stock shows, I believe, in the Western U.S. And so the numbers came in and I ended up getting selected, and it was really cool because it wasn't like a normal national anthem where you go up and step out, say like on a baseball field or a soccer field, like when I was singing for UCSB's sporting events when I was in Santa Barbara. But I was going out in the middle of the rodeo. I had a cowboy hat on, and I had horses and the American flag, and I'm getting goosebumps right now just remembering it because it was such a patriotic moment and for such a different sort of event.
Wow. Yeah, I remember seeing clips of it on social media, and boy, I mean, I don't think I could ever do that. I mean, how was it just to sing in front of so many people? It was the pressure on. Just tell me about that experience because I'm so curious.
It's so funny because when I started singing when I was younger, I've been singing since I was a kid. I used to get nervous. I used to get some stage fright. There were times I would sing and I would just get like really shaky or nervous. But when I stepped out there, I feel like I'm just finding my energy and finding my place because I love performing our national anthem. It's such a great honor for our country. And I'm also so thankful that the good Lord blessed me with a talent where I can sing that song and I can do it to help honor our country and to kick off such important events. And so it was really a rush, and it goes by so fast. You don't realize it. And that was really cool. But I think my favorite singing the national anthem, that was a close second, but singing at a Denver Broncos game was my absolute favorite.
Wait a minute. Denver Broncos?
Yeah.
See, talk about pressure. That is insane.
And it was a preseason game, and I think there were 40 to 50,000 people still in the stands.
Wow. Oh, man. Well, was there a trick that you had to do to just calm yourself down, for one, and then two, also try and take in and remember everything that was going on since it is just kind of here and there and got in the blink of an eye?
Seriously, I mean, I walked in there, and the cool thing was when you sing before a Denver Broncos game, they allow you to bring 6 people. And those 6 people get to come with you out in the field. They get press passes. So I had some of my good friends. I had Scott, my boyfriend, came with me, and we walked out on the field to rehearse because when you sing before an NFL game, you get a practice warm-up. And there's nobody in the stadium. So there I am walking out on the 50-yard line to do a sound check. And I already had goosebumps because it wasn't even the real performance, but here I was in the middle of Mile High Stadium, and I knew that within a couple of hours I would be doing the real thing. And so that was nerve-wracking. And then the second go-around was the real deal. And, I'll have to share my video with you because you walk out where where the players walk out. And there's the players on the field. There's people flying in acrobatics and skydiving. And you look up on the big Jumbotron, and it says National Anthem, this time my name. And I think I got a little choked up because I couldn't really talk to my friends. I'm like, you guys, I kind of need a minute here to really just focus because I was super nervous because one of the things when you're singing in a stadium that big, which I had never done before, is the what's the word for it? Like you sing, it's a delayed singing. So I had to have earplugs in my ear, and I had never sang with earplugs in my ear before because it's a 3 or 4 second delay. And so the first time when I did it during my practice run, I actually got caught off balance and I stumbled a little. So when I was getting ready to do it the real deal, I mean, I'm like pushing my earplugs in because I didn't want to hear the feedback and get caught off guard. But it was just so freaking awesome. You have the players running by me. My hair is like blowing in the wind as these huge, amazing football players are just running by me to get off the field to line up before I sang. And then all of a sudden I hear my name and I step up there and I said a prayer to God and I asked him to be with me the whole time and I trusted and I had faith and I can't even describe it, but I looked up in the stands and this calming feeling just came over me like I never had had before. And I don't know if because that was a moment I was doing a lifelong dream of singing at a professional sporting event. And for the NFL was always something I wanted to do. But and then I did it, and it was only a minute and a half, but I can't even tell you. It flew by so fast, and then the roar of the stadium afterwards. I mean, I get goosebumps again because there is nothing like that. Because one, they're singing to you're singing for the country, and then two, you're doing something for yourself, and so all of those emotions just coming together. I mean, I think I actually had some tears in my eyes afterwards.
Well, it's yeah, it's incredible. I've never experienced that feeling. I know that's where confidence comes in because it's so easy to doubt yourself in the moment, and then something happens, like you forget a lyric, or you stumble on something. It's so easy to do that, not just on under those settings, but like anywhere that involves some kind of crowd where you're not just by yourself practicing, when it's the real deal. But you have the skills, um, you have the voice. I mean, you can do so many great things, and I think that confidence really kicked in, and you just trusted in yourself, and from what I saw, it was flawless. Like you just had, like, I mean, you just made it look so easy. That's what I'm saying, and
Well,
I
I
know
think
it wasn't.
oh, it wasn't. And you bring up confidence, and I think
Hmm.
confidence is something so important, especially nowadays. And
Hmm.
I mean, I'm more open about this now, but when I was a child, I went through being bullied by students from grade school all the way through high school. I was made fun of by the way I looked. I had glasses, so kids made fun of me for that. I mean, Four Eyes was a regular nickname by some of my fellow students, and I also had went through some verbal and emotional abuse throughout my childhood and into my adult life, and all of that was working against me. And so the confidence is something that I've had to build over the last several decades. And I think I'm happy to be where I'm at now because I can use that story and say that even if you are going through something, and I do this at my school talks all the time, I ask kids, have you ever been bullied? Has someone ever been mean to you? Has someone ever doubted you? Have you doubted yourself? And I let them know that it's okay. We all go through it. We all have our own self doubt, but it's reminding yourself every day of how amazing you are and being able to gain that confidence and know that confidence comes with both ups and downs because you're going to have those successful moments. Then you're also going to have moments where you lack the confidence and you need to learn a lesson for some reason from that. But moving forward, you just put everything together and you're able to look back and realize it was all part of the plan.
And Meredith, how did you build up that confidence? After these life events had happened to you early on, was it just something that one day switched inside of you, or how did you get that confidence?
Well, being a Girl Scout, I have to
Mm.
say, and I love to give them a shout out because, it's a program that really helps build girls' self esteem. And even though I was still being bullied in school, I had a group of girls that became my friends and we supported each other and we were able to do these amazing community events and give back. And I'll be honest, it took me a long time. I mean, we're talking, I would say probably through high school even to really build myself back up because every time I felt like I had a success, something would happen, or a guy would ask me out as a joke in high school because the popular girls thought it was funny if he did so. I mean, little events like that, which at that time just, really set you back from any confidence you were trying to build. But I had some amazing teachers and then professors in college and friends that I had built, and they kept by my side the whole time. And I, had friends that I lost and I had friends that I kept, but I think it was more of a self thing because they say you can't be happy unless you're with others if you're not happy with yourself. And so it took a lot of confidence building things for myself. I've seen therapists over the years, which I'm not afraid to admit because I think being able to go to a therapist is something that is okay to be open about, and you should be open about, because it's going to help you get better, and that's what they're there for. And so I think from that, and then just gaining the right girlfriends over the years, gaining the right friends over the years, really becoming more of who I am and expressing myself through my fashion or through events like singing or through my work. And just looking back and trying to at least weekly remind myself of all the good things I have, and how all of those struggles, as awful as they were at the time, now I see that they were such a big part of me becoming who I am, and really being able to jump into my shoes every single day and be proud of who I am, and know that, we all make mistakes, and that's part of life. You've made mistakes, I'm sure, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. A lot of them. And I've learned from them and moved on. And another times, that one thing about me is that I learn from others' mistakes too, so that I don't make those mistakes. But I still make them, and I'm learning from it, and that's part of life, life that's going to help you in the long run. Some people I've known in the past that they just don't learn. They just keep doing it and doing it and doing it, no matter what. But let's talk a little bit about the other aspect of who you are and what you became because of all these events in your life early on. And of course, the biggest one is a certified broadcast meteorologist. You went from...
I got my seal. I got that while I was at KEYT.
I remember. I mean, you put so much work into that, and you still had to, go out there and work a full-time shift. It couldn't have been easy to do all that. And I don't think a lot of people really that do weather on TV have that, right?
Correct. There's only so many broadcasters that get what's called, it's from the American Meteorological Society, and it is the AMS, a seal of approval, or certified broadcasting meteorologist certification program. And you have to do two different parts, which I don't think a lot of people realize. You have to take a written exam, which I am horrible at exams, Oscar. I was terrible in school. I'm terrible now. So I was terrified to take that exam. And then the second part, once you pass that, is you have to submit your on-air work for a panel of people who have their seals to judge and make sure that you're giving accurate information, and you're giving scientific information, and you have the right presentation. I mean, it's a lot of stress.
Yeah. But once you get that seal, it must feel so good. How was when you learned that you were getting that? What went through your mind?
Well, I will be honest with you. It took me 3 tries to pass the written exam. So another lesson that, when you don't succeed at first, try again. And that was literally true for me. And I cried my eyes out because I was only missed by a couple of questions. But that third time, when I passed, I mean, I just was overwhelmed. And I actually shouted in the testing office. I'm like, yes. And they're like, shh, 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 you have to leave. You can't be loud in this testing center. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I passed. And then we went back, and I celebrated with some friends. And then the second part for me submitting the broadcasting videos, I've always been more comfortable with that. So that wasn't to me as stressing. It was just coming up with 2 different broadcasts, because you have to have one on what they call a general day. So a sunny day. And in Southern California, as we know, you have to have a busy active day, and we don't get a lot of active weather patterns. And so I had to go and find that. And I did. And I had to wait 3 months, Oscar, 3 months to hear back from the committee. And when I did, I was at work. I remember I was sitting in my chair, I think across from you or nearby or something. Yeah. You might not have been at your desk. And I told God, if I get my CBM, I'm going to get down on my knees. And I got down on my knees in the newsroom, and I thank the Lord that I got my CBM.
Oh man, no, that's I was so happy when you got that, because I knew how much work you put into it, and I'm glad that I was able to be partly there when that happened. And after that,
you and Claire and everybody, I'm so thankful for you.
Oh, and just going back just a little bit, I'm seeing a comment here. It's not a question. It's a comment from Shane Wise, who we were talking about bullying earlier. He says putting folks down or bullying is way wrong and should be nipped in the bud swiftly. My youngest went through this and saw a therapist, and it helped and has made her stronger. So, Shane, thanks for sharing that, and I hope that through this throughout this interview, we'll get to know a little bit about just get to know Meredith a little bit more and see how she overcame that. And I really liked your experience, Meredith, especially when you went from small market KEYT in Santa Barbara to all of a sudden a national position. I mean, how did that happen? Tell me about that experience.
I feel like I have a story for everything, but maybe I'm just blessed because then I can help other people that might be going through a similar experience. Yeah. But, I loved working at KEYT. It was a great experience. I had an awesome morning team and a great teammates. And so it was hard to think of leaving, but I had been there for a while. I knew there wasn't going to be any immediate opportunities for me to move up to a higher position. And so my agent was, talking to other markets and talking to other people. And hi, Carpentry. I don't know if I'm supposed to comment back or not, but I'm seeing these pop-ups coming. So hi, Poppy.
Definitely feel free to do that.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to say hi. So say hi, guys, and I'll say hi back. Well, I actually, I had been looking because I knew my contract was going to be coming up. And as much as I really wanted to stay, I also knew I wanted to grow more and learn more. And so there were some places that I had talked to that didn't call me back or weren't interested. And there were jobs that I was looking for and I really wanted, but they took a pass on me and they didn't give me a chance. And I was really let down. But I knew that there was going to be that right opportunity for me to be somewhere that I really wanted to be and also be somewhere. I mean, I wanted to be in Santa Barbara, don't get me wrong, but somewhere where I knew I could grow and a city that I loved. And I had always loved Denver. Denver has always been one of the top cities in my heart. And so we got the call from WeatherNation and they said, we would love to have you as a part of the team. And they're like, you'll be forecasting for the entire country. And I'm like, wait, put the brakes on. Not just one area. I have to do the whole country and the Caribbean. And so I knew it was going to be really challenging, but it was that next challenge in my career that I was looking for. I wanted to take what I had learned in Santa Barbara, take what I had learned in Rapid City, South Dakota, my first job, Sarasota, Florida. And I wanted to use that to forecast for all different types of weather patterns, because one of the things I like to say is I can forecast whatever type of weather is happening to you. And this was going to give me an opportunity to do so. And that was awesome. And I miss Santa Barbara. Just like when you move to a different market, you're always going to miss the people, the experiences, the communities, and they're still there to my heart. And I still give a lot of love to every single community that I've worked in, and I'll always still be a part, even if it's virtually. But this was a great opportunity for me to grow. And I've been here now for 3 years, and I'm so thankful I took this opportunity because I've forecasted some things that, like, for example, nor'easters that I really didn't have a lot of experience with. But now I'm so much better at that, and I'm seeing patterns, and I'm able to help a lot more people. And one of the biggest things I really enjoy is severe weather coverage. I hate severe storms and what they do to communities, but I feel being on TV is a privilege, and we can help people and save lives. And during severe storms, I know how important my job is because I have to get on the TV. I have to go through warnings. I have to stay calm and walk people through the threats, whether it's a tornado, damaging winds, large hail. And over the last 3 years, I am so amazed by all of the people I work with that have helped me become so much better at tracking storms using a radar and being able to pinpoint storms and see a storm forming before the tornado warning is called. And I really have to give a shout out to some of my teammates at WeatherNation for helping me grow and going over some of my broadcasts and helping me become better at that. And I'm still learning. And I feel like 20 years from now, I'm still going to be learning. I'm not going to be perfect at everything, but I am going to be toning in on those certain skill sets I can use to help others. And so it was such a great opportunity. And I've gotten to talk to people now from all over the country that follow me on social media or that write into the station. And it's been a really, really amazing experience.
Yeah, excellent. Well, let's talk a little bit about those humble origins. Like, first of all, what got you interested in doing, weather versus being a news reporter?
I was 3 actually, and for those who are from the Midwest, I know, right? Little curly haired Meredith. So imagine my hair like really short. It's like super spirally curled, big Coke bottle glasses. And I was sitting there one day and my mom was talking to me and she had said that she had survived. She was telling me a story from her past. She had survived one of the biggest tornado outbreaks in history, the super outbreak of 1974, April 3rd and 4th. And that she was in Xenia, Ohio. And if you go and Google it, I mean, this was one of the most devastating tornadoes, especially for that area. And my mom told me how she was sitting in the house, looked across the street, saw the tornado forming. It miraculously went down over the house, dropped in their backyard. They were all in the cellar, and they can look out the basement window in the distance and just see the huge wedge tornado with no point at the bottom. And their house was okay. The house next to them, it was a split level, and the top floor was taken off, and everything else was destroyed on the street. And she had helped the Red Cross to help people that were trying to recover. And I can't even tell you what it is, but it was almost like that was my calling, my meant to be, because I wanted to become a meteorologist. I wanted to be on television warning people when bad weather came. So I started making forecasts on, gosh, these generations wouldn't. Oscar, you probably remember the Fisher-Price tape recorder, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I always wanted one.
Oh, my parents got me one because they knew I wanted to make broadcasts. And I have like piles of tapes. And I was actually able to save a couple of them. And I still have those broadcasts. But I was like, this is meteorologist Meredith Garofalo. There's a tornado warning in Cleveland, Ohio. Take shelter. And for some reason, I was like, if you don't have a toilet, go in the toilet and shut the lid, which doesn't even make sense now because you wouldn't even fit in the toilet. And that's not a safe place. I don't even know where. It's funny because it's like that's the clip that I still have to this day. And I have to laugh because I loved making these weather broadcasts. And I just was so excited about it. And I learned everything I could about tornadoes. And so let me put this for the millennials that are watching. A Fisher-Price tape recorder is like doing a Facebook Live. It's just a tape that you put in and then you record. So it's kind of like recording on your phone, like and having things, but yeah, it's actual tape. But then I just started watching all the videos that I could on tornadoes and going to the library and reading as much as I can. And of course, watching all the local meteorologists because I really wanted to like, and so I just was like so passionate. And so to be actually living my childhood dream, I mean, people in my high school yearbook wrote, "See you on the Weather Channel." Which is our competitor, but still, I mean, they people, I don't know if they were joking or if they knew I was going to be doing this someday, but here I am living the childhood dream.
Wow. And what was your first, where was your first job? How did you get that?
Well, my first internship was at WGN Chicago with Tom Skilling, who is a WGN legend. Country, Chicagoland. He was amazing. I was so excited to get that opportunity. But my first full station that I worked at was in Rapid City, South Dakota. And I was born and raised in Cleveland. And so I really hadn't traveled west much, except when I went to college at Valparaiso University. So going to Rapid City, I was like, I don't know where this is. But then they're like, oh, this is where Mount Rushmore is. Okay, cool, Mount Rushmore. I don't know where, I mean, I know where South Dakota is, but where am I going to be living? And then I moved to the Black Hills, which if you haven't been to the Black Hills of South Dakota, I have to give it a shout out. It's absolutely beautiful. You've got Mount Rushmore, you've got caves, you've got canyons and waterfalls. It's absolutely beautiful. So I started my job there with the ABC station, KOTA, Dakota Territory News. And yeah, that was a great opportunity because I learned so much. I wasn't just doing weather. I was also reporting. And what we call one-man band reporting or one-woman band. So I literally had a 50-pound camera because back in the day, we didn't have our phones. We didn't have a handheld recorder. We had a huge 50-pound camera. So I carry that in one arm. And on the other arm, I had my tripod. And I had to go out and drive in my car to do stories. And then come back sometimes and produce as a producer. And sometimes I even had to anchor if the anchor was off. So I literally can say I did everything except sports at my first job.
Yeah, sport. I started out as a news photographer before going into digital producing.
And he's really good, by the way. He's really good.
Thank you. And eventually that led me to be a digital director in Santa Barbara. But I remember when 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 I was starting to shoot video for news, they had me do a lot more editing of it. And I was editing in back then it was tape to tape.
Tape to tape.
Yep.
I remember tape. Whatever.
Which I kind of missed, but because I remember all these quirky things. Like at the time when it's so funny. Like at the time when you're doing this stuff, it seems a little annoying, and then afterwards you just come to appreciate it so much more. But I remember there were times when I would. Would be like maybe 60 seconds to air, and they need a piece of video, so I would cut it real quick, and then with 15 seconds left, I remember there was one time when I chucked it up. Like the editing stations were down on the first floor, and this is a small station, so it's like almost looks like a home where you just get a flight of stairs and you can just toss it up to the person up there. But there was a tape loader, a tape operator, so I chucked the tape up there, and he quickly inserted it into the deck and hit that play button in the nick of time to take the video on air, and it was flawless, but awesome.
That is awesome. You're a very good editor. I think you've edited stuff for me before. Maybe I don't remember.
Oh yeah.
You probably did.
Yeah, and in those days too, I would shoot sports because when I was every chance I got to shoot video, I would take. So Santa Barbara there has a sports show called Friday Football Focus. So for the high school football season, and so I would always take advantage of that. Now at this point, a power outage affected the neighborhood, and I temporarily lost connection with Meredith due to social distancing guidelines as well as her being in a different state. I was using a live streaming and recording software called vMix to record the audio for this podcast. Fortunately, the power came back on within minutes and we were able to continue our conversation. Here's the rest of that interview. So let me bring Meredith back in. Meredith, hi. How are you again?
I'm good. Goodness gracious. I was going to say, do you guys have some Santa Ana winds or something?
I know. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know why the power went out. I talked to Claire, and we were trying to see if it was just us or if it impacted other neighbors. But luckily before we called the LADWP, the power came back on. So I'm so glad. But at the same time, it came back on, and all of a sudden, like certain things weren't turned on. Like I have a little like switcher panel, so I can switch between different cam shots, and that wasn't turning on, even though the computer was on. My camera here wasn't turning on. The internet still was out. So I just had to reboot a bunch of stuff in addition to, bringing the setup in again. So I do apologize.
Well, I'm so glad we're back. And you know what? I think maybe Mother Nature was trying to do a sign. I have no idea.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm awesome. I'm trying to make a joke, but clearly I'm not a jokester.
We talked a little bit about bullying and how that really motivated you to gain the confidence that you have now and made you the person you are today. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that experience early on in your life and how important it was to. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I know, Oscar, it's something that, I don't think I can be an advocate for enough because I went through it firsthand. I had friends that went through it. And even as an adult, we see it every day. I'm sure you see it in certain places like, whether it's the office, whether it's your neighborhood, whether it's the grocery store, even because somebody's having a bad day. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that still feel like it's okay to be a bully, even if they don't realize they're doing it. And for me as a child, when you're growing up and you're being bullied and then you're also going through verbal and emotional abuse, it's very tough as a child because those are the moments where you're really trying to grow into the person you're going to be. And when you have those moments as a child and you feel like you're not good enough, or you're being screamed at all the time, or you're having people make fun of you or make you as a joke, it's disheartening, and it really strips your confidence from you. And you have a couple of options. You can either give up and just choose to not have a good life and to also get into a cycle and become a bully yourself, or you can look at everything around you and know that this isn't the end, that it's going to get better, and go to the people like your teachers and your friends and the family members that support you, and remind yourself every day that, confidence does come and build over the years. But, it's also those challenges. I mean, I look back now, and as horrible as a lot of those moments are, and, there's still some stuff that impacts me to this day, I really learned a lot, and it helped me become stronger and become an adult where I'm able to be a good person and share my story with other people that, I went through this, but I didn't let it define who I am. And to all the students out there, the kids that are going through this right now, because unfortunately now we have cyberbullying, which is a whole different animal, because it's not just in person. It's these kids that are attacking other kids on social media. Not even just kids. I mean, you see it, Oscar and I could probably talk about this, people that troll on social media and that, say really mean things to people without thinking about how it makes other people feel. And it goes back to one of my favorite Disney movies as a kid, Bambi, growing up. And Thumper's mother said to the rabbit, if you can't say something nice, don't say something at all. And so I really try to encourage people to do that. And I know it's not easy at times, especially because sometimes the negativity can really get to you. But if you keep a positive attitude and you know that, you want to be your best self, that's what you have to really hold on to, and also tell other people it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's one of the things that I really admire about you, the ability to just take these negative comments with grace, because other people would just totally call out the trolls by swearing and, trying to pick a battle with them. How do you deal with these trolls? And sometimes just viewers.
It's a struggle every day. And since I broadcast nationally, it's not just one area. I mean, it's from all over the country. I know there's different traditions and different things that happen in different parts of the country. So sometimes I have people that might not understand what's going on in my life because it's completely different than their life. And so one of the things that I've learned about trolls is, there's some people that it's not even worth your time responding to. It's not even worth your energy, because they're obviously going through something really tough, and for them to think that it's okay to talk to you that way or to put you down, you say some positive vibes for them or a little prayer and you move on. But there are some of those people out there that either are constantly being bullies or constantly trolling or saying very hurtful and untrue things. And sometimes you do have to call them out. And I always try to call them out in a way where I'm not trying to become a bully back. I'm not trying to be mean back. I'm trying to say, hey, you know what? That's not true. Or I really don't appreciate that. Or, I wish I could give you some more information. I hope you have a really good day. I always try to add something positive to the end of my comments when I talk back to trolls, because I feel like maybe that little boost of energy is going to do something for them. And sometimes it doesn't. There's other times where they'll actually write back and be like, oh my gosh, Meredith, I'm really sorry. I had no idea I was being offensive. So sometimes it can actually be helpful and help other people when you're honest with them as well, but in a nice way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's a huge problem for everybody, especially that's on air, because you just open yourself to all these things. So I just take example of how you do it. Luckily, I haven't been impacted like so much by trolling. But then again, I haven't really done a lot of lives, and that's one of the things that you do that is outstanding. Like, you're really good at social media. You have so many followers. Let's talk just a little bit about how you got to be so good in social media, and then we'll go into your career as a meteorologist. And we do have a question regarding that. So, first off, how did you learn what you know about social media, and do you have any tips and tricks to bump up your followers?
So I have to give you kudos when I was in Santa Barbara, because you did help me out with some of my social media expansion, and I'm so grateful for that. So I do want to thank you. But What you're seeing here, me and Oscar talking, this is me. And this is me on social media. I am trying to be as honest and open as possible. There's no need to put on a face. There's no need to be somebody I'm not. What you see is what you get. And, if I'm laughing on social media and I'm being positive, that's me. If I get sad and I post a comment that, I'm having a bad day, does anybody else know what that feels like? I'm trying to be real with you. I want you to understand that I'm just like you. The only difference between me and anybody that's watching this is my job is public. I'm on the news every single day or almost every single day, but I'm just your average friendly neighborhood meteorologist.
And I think that's so important. I think a lot of people, and I've seen so many examples of this, people see right through you if you're fake or not when you're doing, like Facebook Lives, Instagram Lives. I can name so many examples of that happening, but I think you just nailed everything that makes somebody really good at social media. Be yourself. And be confident too, because you're very confident in what you do. And I know this kind of stemmed from the earlier days and the bullying and it just made you a stronger person. We were talking about this in part one of this chat, but now you're on a national stage. And let's talk a little bit about your humble beginnings. Like where was your first job? What was your first job? And what did you learn from that experience?
Well, are we talking first job in TV or first job when I was 15 and a half and I needed to make some money so I could have money to go to the mall and buy myself clothes?
Whoa. You know what? That's a good point. Let's actually start with that, because before we got to where we are today, for you and I both, we worked crazy jobs, but we want to know where you work. What are some of your crazy jobs that you had to do before making it on TV?
Well, if anyone is watching from the Cleveland area, there's a chain called Mark's, and it's like a deep discount store. And when you were 15 and a half in the state of Ohio, you could actually work part-time and have a job. And in a lot of other states, you had to wait until you're 16. So I was putting in a few hours a week, and I was a cashier, and I stocked shelves. And, I did that for a while, but I wanted something I was a little bit more kind of passionate or into. And there was an opening for a beauty advisor at Walgreens. And as you know me now, I haven't changed much from a kid. I love fashion. I love makeup, all that girly stuff. And so I was able to actually work the makeup counter. And what was fun for me was, in addition to interacting with people and really getting that sort of customer service skill set built, because we all know how important customer service is. And you really learn a lot about that when you're in a position, because you get all types of people that come into your store. But I was actually able to compete for monthly contests, like who could sell the most Walgreens products, and I would actually get commissions back. So it was a fun challenge for me, and I really enjoyed it, and I made some good friends along the way. So that was my first, I guess you could say, full-time job. And then when I was in college, I worked for Walgreens for a little bit, and then I was a waitress at a Japanese steakhouse. And I can tell you, I never loved getting free sushi as much as I did when I worked because, we are able to eat some of the food, and they were such a great staff. But that was my first really, really tough job, because if you haven't waitressed or you haven't been a waiter, it's a lot of work. And you have to bring your personality into it. So I'm almost thankful for my customer service experience, because I was able to bring that into helping provide a service with food. And so, so those were some of my first jobs. And then, ever since college, I was able to get my first TV job right out of college. I had an internship in college. And so I've, I had some challenges where I was out of TV work for a little bit, and I actually had to take 3 jobs at one point, which, a lot of people look at the story and they're like, oh my gosh, you just go from station to station, you work up in your career. But there was a station I worked for right when I was starting off, and I got let go, and I ended up for, I think, 5 or 6 months. I was working 3 jobs just so I could pay the bills. And I was a waitress at an Italian restaurant, a very fancy Italian restaurant. And then I also worked at kind of a bar tavern. And then I wrote for the local paper. I did stories so I could keep up with my journalism. And it all ended up paying off, because then I got my next job in TV, which first full-time gig I like to call is Rapid City, South Dakota. And Yeah, being from Cleveland, I was like, Rapid City, I don't know where this is. And they said Mount Rushmore, and I'm like, okay, cool. Where's that? That's horrible.
And
But I'm so
did you?
glad I moved on.
Yeah. And what were some of the responsibilities that came with your first on-air job?
One of the fun things that I think a lot of people don't realize is when you want to be a meteorologist, it's not all weather all the time. So I was a meteorologist on the weekends. I was a one-woman band reporter, which you and I, Oscar, were joking about it because we had to carry this huge equipment, 50-pound camera on one arm. I had my tripod on the other, and I'm
Yeah.
going up the ski hill trying to do a story on a special events, special needs event for kids. And I had to shoot my own video. I had to go back, I had to edit it, and then I had to have it on the broadcast all within like, a 6 or 7 hour period. And this had to include driving to the station. And so I did that. And then I also was a producer because they found out that I was very ambitious and I wanted to try to learn everything in the newsroom. So if, say, something happened to one of my teammates and they needed me to assist, I knew how to anchor, I knew how to produce. So I ended up doing in my first job everything besides sports in the news department.
Yeah, no, it's that's a lot, and yeah, that's actually what happens in smaller markets. You know, you have to wear all these different hats, but in the end, your passion was doing weather, meteorology. Was Has that always been your passion?
It has ever since I was 3, Oscar. So just think little Meredith, big curls, big Coke bottle glasses. And I know there's some people watching right now that are laughing and they remember me running around. I'm meteorologist Meredith Garofalo. And I was like 6 or 7 years old, but I was actually 3. My mom told me about surviving a tornado outbreak. And so I made my first forecast on what's Facebook Live now. Back in the day was on what's called a Fisher Price tape recorder. I know, Oscar, you know what that is.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. For all those newer millennials, what is it?
It's what is it? Probably picking up your phone and doing your own forecast. It's literally like a player, and you put a tape in, and you hit record, and then your voice records through the microphone on this tape. And the tape was probably this big, a cassette tape. So you might go into an antique store now, or maybe your mom or your grandma's house, and you'll see those tapes. But that's what we used to record on, so it wasn't digital. And so, yeah, that was one of my first times. Then I grew up watching the broadcasters in town, and I ended up just reading every single tornado book I could take out of the library because my mom survived a tornado outbreak, and I really wanted to dedicate the rest of my life to helping people and warning them when bad weather came.
Wow. Well, and then from that job, was the next stepping stone Santa Barbara, or was there something else in between?
So I went from my internship was at WGN in Chicago, which Tom Skilling to this day is still a legend and such a great person I learned from. And then I went to Rapid City. Then I went to Sarasota, Florida. I worked there for a few years. And then I came to Santa Barbara, and that's where we met.
Well, and one of the things that it just makes you, I think, just a very special person is not only are you nice, you're confident, but you're multi-talented. You sing as well. And the first time I believe the first time I heard you sing was we were doing a telethon in Santa Barbara, and you stepped
That's
in.
right.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. The KEYT Unity Telethon. And I was singing right after, was it Peter Noon? Peter Noon sang at that. So I was singing with
Yeah.
Peter Noon and Kenny Loggins, who was a great supporter of the local charity stuff in Santa Barbara. And so here I am, and they needed someone to sing. And I'm not Kenny Loggins, but they're like, "Do you want to sing a Christmas song?" And so I did. And yeah, that's right. That was my first Christmas because I started in November. And so that was my first Christmas with the station. And that's when I started becoming friends with you and your wife. And gosh, look at us going back in time. I love it.
Yeah, no, that was a special time. I think because whenever you meet good people and you work with good people, it just makes your job a lot easier and a lot more fun.
Hard work pays off.
Hmm.
And maybe it's not on your time schedule. Maybe it's not in the frame that you want things to happen, or you want things to happen sooner than later. But when you work really hard, you're passionate about something, you're honest, you're open, and you really just have faith it's going to happen. It eventually will.
You're a well-rounded person, and so that's why I was so happy because I know you were studying so hard to receive the certification, the broadcast certification, I believe. I mean, you'll explain a little bit about this, but I was just so thrilled that all of your hard work paid off and you got this certification. Can you just talk a little bit about that and how you felt when you first got word that you were getting this?
Gosh, Oscar, some of the biggest accomplishments in my life have come with failure before it. And I think that's a life lesson that sometimes you learn and sometimes you don't. But I definitely have learned it, because as many ups as we go through in life, there's also a lot of downs. And to get the American Meteorological Society's a CBM, or Certified Broadcast Meteorologist, you might see your local meteorologist. They have, it's an AMS logo on there, or NWA. Those are different types of seals. So I have the AMS, and it's one of the highest you can receive from the American Meteorological Society as a broadcast meteorologist. And so I just take a written exam and an on-air broadcasting, 2 clips, one of a busy weather day, one of a quiet weather day, that are sent to a panel from the AMS, from seal holders, and they critique you to make sure that you are worthy of the seal. And for me, I'm so horrible at taking tests. I mean, even like those tests online, like A, B, and C, I stress out sometimes. I mean, I have test anxiety, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who know what that's like. But I actually had to take 3 different tries to get my exam passed, the written exam. I failed the first 2 times by a little bit, but I was crushed and I was heartbroken, and that was my biggest fear with trying to get this. And it took me years. I mean, I thank my boyfriend Scott so much, because he finally said, "Meredith, you got to do this. You know this is a huge accomplishment for your career. You've got to do this." And so I studied really hard, and I took notes from the first 2 times I didn't pass, and the 3rd time I passed, I almost got kicked out of the center. I thought they were going to take my test back from me, because I was like, "Oh my gosh, I passed!" And they're like, "You need to leave, ma'am. You cannot be that loud in this testing center." So I'm like, "Okay, I'm going to leave." Right onto the car. I'm like, pass. And then after I submitted my on-air, I had to wait 3 months. And I think the day that I found out via email, and I had said, I'm gonna get down on my knees, and I'm going to thank the good Lord the day I get my seal. And I was right next to your desk, and I can't remember if you were in the newsroom or not at that time, but I was right next to your desk, and I found out, and I got right down on my knees, and I thanked the Lord, and I was like, "You guys, I passed! I got my CBM! Oh my gosh!" It was such a great moment. You know what? If I didn't fail the first 2 exams, if I didn't, have that struggle in that long time period, I don't think I would have really appreciated it. And I think that goes for a lot of things in our life. Sometimes it's going to take extra tries and extra weights and extra lessons to get what we really, really hope to get out of our life. And then when we get there, you just appreciate it so much more.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And is there a process that like requirements that you have to have beforehand before even applying to be a certified broadcast meteorologist?
Yes, there's a whole list, but one of the things is you have to actually have your Bachelor of Science in Meteorology. And if you have a certificate in meteorology, you actually have to go back to school and take all the required classes, which is a lot of calculus, 3 years of calculus, 2 years of physics, differential equations. Like it's a very intenseful program, but it is a true Bachelor of Science. And so that's something that I really had to work for. And I'm just very thankful I chose to go into that program, because there's easy ways to get your degree. And then there's a way that, you're going through those 4 years and the rigorous training. And I almost gave up my freshman year because the professor told me that she didn't think I had what it took to get my meteorology degree, because it was such tough classes and I was never a superstar in math or science. But going just back to not giving up and always having faith that the struggle is always going to be there, and it's going to be tough at times. But when you get to the top, just like when you're hiking a mountain, you get to the top of that mountain and you've never felt better in your life.
I'm glad you said that, because the ugly side of not just this business in the news industry, but also really anywhere else, in anything that we do in life, there's always going to be rejection. There's going to be success, and there's going to be rejection, and probably a ton of more rejection than success. So I'm glad that you said that, because how do you even get out of that rut? Like people, if you get rejected once, that's a real blow to your self-esteem. Can you think back of a time when you were just like really knocked down and enough that you thought like, hey, maybe this is not for me?
I mean, in college, yes, when I couldn't pass those
Hmm.
exams, but
Hmm.
I had some struggles finding a new opportunity when I was ready for my next challenge in the TV business. And there were moments where I wouldn't get calls back from news directors for months, or I was given tips by certain talent agents that, well, maybe she needs to lose a little bit of weight, or maybe she, needs to get better at this or that. And, there's a point where you try to keep the faith, but you doubt yourself. But looking back, I've learned it's all about the timing, and it's about the right opportunity happening at the right time. And I think once you realize that, say your best friend got the job that you wanted, at first you're a little bit like, oh, I really wanted that job. Why'd she get it? Not me. But when you change your mindset, and it took me some time to do this, but once you change your mindset to, it's not my time. That was not meant for me. There's something even better. You're still going to have those moments of doubt, but you just feel so much better about it, because then when somebody else gets an opportunity, you can celebrate it for them, because even if you did want it, obviously they deserved it, or they needed it more, or it was meant for them to have it. And so I just love living my life like that now, because I get really excited about other people, but then I also look forward to the opportunities that are going to be in front of me that just had to be laid out and fall into place because I didn't get this or that happening in my life.
Exactly. I mean, that's the most satisfying feeling when you get rejection, but then you don't give up, and then you get that big big thing that you want, that reward, and it always feels so nice, especially when it happens to awesome people, and you're one of those people.
So are you, Oscar? That's
Oh,
this thing together.
one thing that hasn't taken a break is this COVID-19 pandemic. So we're still at home, kind of limiting our movements, even though more places and more places are opening each day. But when it first started, I mean, I've been doing this vlog for, I think, a little bit over 2 months now. The whole aspect of staying at home kind of allowed me to have more time to dedicate to a little bit more creativity. And one of the things I love is creating projects. It's become a hobby of mine. It's the way that I stay creative. So I, research a little bit about live streaming, and then I built the setup, and I have a little bit of a studio that I've kind of built at home. And so it's great that I've been talking to people and not only catching up on see how they're doing, but they've also brought in a fresh perspective on things and the way they do. And I mean, I talked to a fitness coach and a life motivator, and so that was a very interesting conversation, and it's in the earlier vlogs, which I keep everything on my YouTube channel that's just dedicated to this vlog, so people see the live broadcast, which is right now on my Facebook page, and then the replay on YouTube. But with you and your career as an on-air meteorologist, we do have a couple questions here that I want to get to, and they're actually from Claire.
Oh, well, hello, Claire.
So first, Claire is asking, if someone wants to be in broadcast meteorology, what is your advice?
I'm so glad you asked that, because I do a lot of school talks and college career talks, and I think sometimes people think that when you're younger, you might not know what you want to do, or you might know what you want to do, but it's such a long time away. You don't think that it's possible. And whether you're probably not 3 watching this like that. But if you're a child watching this, if you're a high school student and you're watching this and thinking, this is a really cool field, believe in yourself, number one. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't do what you want to do just because they think that you don't have the grades or you don't have the personality. If you fully believe that that's what you want for your career path, go for it. And it's not going to be easy. It's going to be extremely challenging at times. You are going to want to give up, but you really need to believe in yourself, keep that confidence, and also surround yourself with good people. Your friends, your family, your professors, your teachers that are building you up. And also reach out to people in the field. that you're interested in. I mean, we can put my social media or my email address on here, and anybody that's interested in broadcast meteorology, I'd love to have a conversation. I'd love to be there for you, because when I was young and I was dreaming of being a meteorologist, I talked to people in the business, and I am so thankful for those people, my mentors, because I wouldn't be here today had I not reached out to them. So don't be afraid. But I'm very thankful for every community that's let me into their community to become a part of it, even if it's for a year, even if it's for 3.5 years. I'm just so thankful, because being a broadcast meteorologist is a privilege. And I get the opportunity not only to help people with forecasting, but also to motivate people and to share my story and to be real and honest, and hopefully help people to become their best self and to be somebody they can look up to. And I'll be the first to admit I'm not perfect. I make so many mistakes still every single day. But I hope that I can share my story to help others. And I hope I can encourage others and motivate others to do whatever they want to do, because, we get one life to live, and we have that opportunity to make it the best we can, but also to be good to other people, to be kind, to help out, to be a listening ear, or to be a positive voice. And, with everything that's going on right now, it's been very, very tough times, but we can only be the best we can be for other people when we're being the best to ourselves.
The next question, again, comes from Claire. She says, also weather people present the weather without a script. How do you compose your weathercast with nothing to read from? So much talent.
Gosh, practice makes perfect, Claire. I mean, I have so much knowledge, and sometimes I think I say way too much because I don't have a script to keep me on track. But it's just going in there, finding out what the weather story is, and then telling the weather story. And I'll throw some scientific lessons in there from time to time, and throw a little bit of what I know, but in a way that people can understand it. I want a child to watch me on the news and understand what my forecast is, even if they don't understand all the dynamics or the science behind it, but also be able to tell an adult and explain to them something. So when they go outside, they're like, oh, that's a cirrus cloud, or hey, that looks like a front coming through. Meredith taught us about that, or when we were talking about a tornado watch versus a warning, this is what it means, but in a way everybody can understand, because I understand science can be very complicated, but it's still fun to share science and inspire STEM careers with what I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of the things about the different careers that we take, because this is not just simply a job. This is a career, so it requires a certain path, and I love the timeline of your successes, because it's a great example of, again, if you follow your dreams and you're really passionate about those, then the sky's the limit. You went from interning to being on the national stage. That's an awesome accomplishment. I think everybody can use it as an example on their own, for their own life events. But before we wrap this up, Meredith, is there anything that you like to say or add or talk about that we didn't talk about during this conversation, or even during part one before the power went out?
Well, you should go back and watch part one, because Oscar and I had some very fun and funny moments there. But I think, what's great is that people we meet in our life, you'll still run into them down the road. I haven't seen you and Claire for, gosh, I believe it's been 3 years now. We've talked on social media, but I haven't seen you. And it's incredible that the people that you meet in your life, some stay for a long time, some come and go, some you want to get out of your life because it was a bad experience, but it's all, I'm not trying to be cliche, it's all part of the circle of life. I think it's just incredible that when people say it's a small world, it really is, because I have had viewers in Rapid City that I run into in Denver, or I'll hear from somebody in Santa Barbara that, oh my gosh, I was at the Hastings airport and I turned on and saw you doing the weather. And that's why you have to be so kind and good to other people. Not everybody's going to like you. Not everybody's going to get along with you, but you want to leave a person's life better than when you came into it. And whether it's a positive word or an uplifting message, or maybe you did something nice for them, it's so much better when you can leave the world better than you found it. And so that's something I try to do every day. And I know you do too, Oscar, and you've come a long way as well. You and Claire, I remember when we first met and we were all working in Santa Barbara, and now just to see how you both have really just, I'm at a loss of words because I'm so proud of you guys. I mean, you're so awesome, and you guys have done such a good job. And I'm so blessed that we can still stay in touch and also do things like this to hopefully help motivate others and give them some rays of light during what has been, I'm sure, for many a tough time.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, I appreciate those words. I really do love what I'm doing, and I'm glad that I get a chance to do it. And if we ever down the line work together again, that's going to be like just the best time, because I love surrounding myself with good people. They just make the job so much fun. It's almost crazy to think that it doesn't really feel like a job when you are surrounded by these types of folks. Now, one last thing, and I hope you're okay with it. I didn't bring it up to you because I kind of wanted to leave it fresh, but it's nothing bad or anything. I want to play just a little game called like, what is your favorite? And it's almost like a rapid fire question type game. So I'll just ask you a series of questions just so people can get to know you a little bit more. After that, we'll just call it a day. But are you ready?
I'm ready.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so I have several questions here, and you don't have to think too much about this. Let's start out with a simple one. What's your favorite color?
Blue.
Okay. Favorite ice cream?
You said rapid fire, so I'm ready.
Okay, good. Favorite ice cream flavor?
Chocolate peanut butter.
Favorite song?
Ooh, song to sing or song to listen to?
Ooh, that's a good question. Okay, you know what? Let's do both. A good song to sing and a good song to listen to.
Gosh, that's a really tough one, actually. A good song to listen to, I mean, it takes me back to my Santa Barbara days. Pharrell's Happy. That just always puts me in a really good mood when I hear that song. Or Uptown Funk, because you can ask my boyfriend, anyone that knows me, I am jamming in the car and I'm singing. Like, I love Uptown Funk. I can rock out of the stoplight like nobody else to that song. But as far as a song to sing, I really like that song, I Hope You Dance by Leanne Womack, because it's such a positive, uplifting song. And I really love singing it every time because I feel like people just really smile and get positive whenever I sing that song.
Good. Good.
Longer answer, but again, I'm scripted, so you gotta get the long answer.
No worries. What is your favorite article of clothing to wear?
Dresses.
And accessory. I'm sorry. Okay, glasses?
Dresses. Dresses for that. My favorite accessory is a hat.
Well, okay. I didn't know that.
I just got a reminder. Hat or shoes. Hat or heels. H or A. Hat or heels. Win-win.
Yeah. Favorite quote?
It's from A League of Their Own. I'm trying to remember it, but I should know it.
Is that the There's No Crying in Baseball one?
No, well, no. I mean, that's a good quote too, but it's about the hard that makes it great. Like they're talking and it's something. I wish I could remember now. I should Google it, but it's like, nobody ever said it's not going to be easy, or something like that. But it's the hard that makes it great. If we all Google that quote, you'd find it. But I love that quote.
That sounds really nice, and I love that.
I mean, while you're putting the next question, I'm going to look it up because I'm going to be so upset with myself.
You're kind of like me. Like if I'm just left wondering what the true answer is to something that I have, I just can't. I feel so restless. I can't. Yeah.
Yes. All right. It is. It's supposed to be hard. If it wasn't hard, everybody would do it. The hard is what makes it great. That was close.
I love that. I just love that. Well, having said that, what is your favorite movie or TV show?
I love Dirty Dancing. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. And favorite TV show, The Office. I cannot tell you how many times I have rewatched The Office. Oh my gosh. I could quote it. And my boyfriend's like in the other room laughing right now at me because literally if we go to a trivia, which we still need to find one that works with my sleep schedule, I think I would kick some butt in Office trivia. Michael Scott would even be like, "What's up, Meredith?"
What's your favorite Michael Scott quote?
That's what she said.
Yes.
There are so many good ones. I mean, but that one, I laugh every time in the show when he says, "You just can't help but crack up." It's so funny. And I still say it in my all the time. I'm like, it's so bad.
Yeah, I especially love the how he says it in the most serious situations with a serious face. Like he knows he's discussing a serious matter, but he just can't pass up the opportunity to say it. Or like Jim when he pretended to be Dwight and says he pisses off White by saying Bears beats Battlestar Galactica.
That was Jim. Yep, that was Jim and Jim Halpert and Dwight when they're sitting there and they dress up like each other. That's one of our favorite episodes too. But yeah, he's like, "What kind of bear is that? False. Black bear. Question. Bears eat beets." Or something. I mean, I think we're pretty close. It's sick, isn't it? Sick. I love it. I'm sure a lot of people out there that are obsessed about shows as much as I am about their favorite shows. So I know I'm not alone.
Oh yeah, no. It's an awesome show. I rewatch it all the time. Well, what is your favorite season? Since you report on weather, what is your favorite season?
I just love fall. Warm apple cider by a campfire, going up to the mountains with friends. Even if you're not, I don't ski or snowboard, but I just like being up in the mountains and just having, even when I lived in Florida, like those cool fall days, there's just something just so crisp and comfy, and you can wear a sweater and snuggle up on a blanket and it's all right.
Are you a Mac or PC girl?
I am a PC. Don't judge.
All right. That's what I use. That's what I'm using right now. I just like that you can customize it any way you want to. I mean, I have a custom-made PC that I'm using, and it's awesome.
Mine's very generic, but hey, good. I'm glad for you, Oscar. Hey, you wouldn't be able to do this, right, if you didn't have it custom made. So.
Oh, well, and we talked a little bit about how great you are at social media. So what is your favorite Instagram feature?
That's a really good question. I wouldn't have thought that one. Let's see. I think I kind of like the video when you can ask questions or have people like comment on polls, because it's kind of fun. You just get conversation going, and if it's been a really bad day or something, I could put something silly on there. Like the one time my co-anchor and we put this video up, and it was like your favorite 90s snack, like Dunkaroos. They were amazing. And we hadn't remembered our gobstoppers or fruit gushers or fruit by the foot. I mean, some of these snacks as a kid are now like historic, but for us 90s kids, we were like, these are really good. So we put it up and people were throwing stuff out there that we haven't thought about in decades. It was so much fun.
Well, what's your favorite animal?
I love dogs, but I think I still love tigers. Ever since I was a kid, I love tigers. I don't know why, but I'm a huge dog fan. Love dogs, especially poodles and doodles.
What's your favorite theme park to visit?
Cedar Point.
Ooh, okay, all right. I love everything that has cedar in it. One of my favorite spots in New Hampshire that I've gone to was Cedar Pond, which is not far from where my mother-in-law lives, and that was great.
If you like roller coasters, Cedar Point is the bomb.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. What is your number one pet peeve?
Oh my gosh. I think maybe it's because I've been a journalist too, is when you don't like check over your social media posts. And I've done it, I will admit, I'm the first one where I might spell a word wrong or stuff. But when there's something that's so blatantly honest or blatantly out there, and you can tell somebody didn't reread something because it's just important, this is going to be out there forever. And I just see people post some stuff and I just get, I don't know, it just bothers me because I want to go in and correct it. But I think it's just all these years as a journalist and having to read my scripts and correct them and spell check and do all that stuff. So it kind of bothers me, but I know it's kind of a weird one.
Yeah. I mean, I've gotten so used to writing, doing it all these years that I don't even use spell check. Just the other day, I actually used to spell check, and there was no misspellings, which was crazy.
Wow, that's an accomplishment.
Yeah. But then when there are misspellings from somebody else, and I've learned to do this because I know it's probably not polite to start correcting people, even if you're right on the spelling of certain things. But like canceled is a word that it's like, well, is it 2 L's or 1 L or just recently? Yes, exactly. One L. But I just kind of have to just take a step back and say, okay, you know what? I only be in control of what I do. Like if it's blatant, like a really blatant error, like maybe point it out. But especially if it's a stranger, it's like, well, I mean, in today's world, it's not hard to just Google the word and see if it's misspelled correct or spelled correctly. But lastly, what is a fun fact about you that people may not know?
This goes along with my singing, and I don't know where it came from. Maybe it was because my grandfather had his own accordion band, and I just have music in my family. But I can listen to a song and either sing it back or have the same tune, even if it's the first time that I've heard it.
Wow.
It's the weirdest thing. Like I can hear the first chorus on the radio, and by the second time the chorus comes around, I can sing it back, or I know the tune, or I can learn a song very fast.
Wow. Man, that's incredible. Not a lot of people can do that.
I don't even know how.
Oh, Claire just posted a message. I think this one's directed to me. I'll bring it up on the screen. She says, "Grammar, please."
Oh, well, somebody's got to help out, right? So we're trying to do our best.
Yeah, sometimes she gives me a hard time, but no, she's awesome. I mean, if anybody knows Claire, you'll know that she's like the nicest person ever. Well, Meredith, thank you so much for just taking time today. I know with the power outage that happened, and it's been like 2 hours since we started this, so I really want to thank you just for taking some time and sitting down with me and just having a good old chat.
Well, I'm going to be a very good girlfriend. I'm going to actually, I would say cook, but I would be lying. I'm going to heat up my boyfriend some really good leftovers that he made for us the other day as a thank you for his patience with letting me do this. So kudos to Scott.
Scott is a great cook, and I miss those burgers he made. What did he call them? The cowboy burger?
Yes, Cuban cowboy. He was a finalist, top 10 burgers in America for Budweiser's amateur cook-off. So you should definitely go on my page or connect with Oscar and I. We'll show you some of Scott's food because on Instagram it's amazing. Oh, so good. I couldn't even compare to his cooking. That guy needs his own cooking show.
Well, so where can people find you on social media? What's your handle on these platforms?
So it's pretty easy on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's at my last name Garofalo and then WX. So the last name there, and then just add W and X to that for weather. And you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
Perfect. Okay, Meredith, thank you again. Stick around for just a couple minutes while I close this, and then I know Claire wants to say hi. Meredith is definitely one of a kind. I wish her well and hope we can reconnect after this pandemic. Don't forget to connect with Meredith on social media. The links are in the description to this episode. I've also included a link to my YouTube channel for additional content in the description. If you have any comments or questions regarding this episode or the podcast in general, send them to hangrymexicanpodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's hangrymexicanpodcast@gmail.com. I would love to feature some of your comments on a later episode. And please rate the Hangry Mexican Podcast on Apple Podcasts and all other major platforms where we are streaming. The more you rate, the more ears this podcast will reach. I really appreciate your support. And thank you for listening, and until next time, stay safe, good night, and good luck.